All right, here we go. Episode of the Gospel of Fire. Here I am, the man, the myth, the guy who got it all started for everyone. What up, man? How are you?
What up, Eliot? Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming on. I always forget about you because we talk so often. You know?
I hear you.
And I know all you, like, we know each other's stories so well. Like, it's not like new news to either one of us about like our lives.
True story. Hours of boredom.
You know, hours in hotel rooms.
Yep.
Man, so I've come up with this verb, right? Amaling. Because there's no one, and everyone that I tell it to that knows you,
They know
like
exactly
is like,
what you're talking
knows
about?
exactly what I'm talking
Oh,
about,
man.
right? They know exactly what I'm talking about, and they're like, "Man, that's the best thing ever," because it's so true. But like you Amal, but you make your Amaling like benefit. You know, we're sitting here in our school, you know, that you started in 1999, and now we have like 7 of them with thousands of students, and all you really did was Amal.
I mean, I was raised a feral child, so somehow things turned out, perspective was different.
Yeah, so I mean, like, tell the world how did we get here?
I mean, where do I start?
You tell me, man. I don't fucking know. In the teepee.
I don't know. My parents kind of I grew up in a. Well, I didn't grow up in a teepee, but when I was born, we lived in a teepee. My parents moved out here from back east, and they kind of decided to be off the grid. It was the late 60s, early 70s. I was born in 1970. And so when they moved to New Mexico, they didn't have jobs. They just wanted to kind of live off the land. We lived literally in a teepee. There was a lady with a bunch of land, and she said, if you build a house here or set up your tent and have kids, that you can have part of the land. So that was it. I lived, like they were just kind of doing their own thing, and they just kind of set
New Mexico,
me free.
you said, right?
Yeah. That reminds me, because I always think about that. My friend Abel West and I would run around in the sand and the dirt and the desert all day long just by ourselves. Last night I saw 2 mountain lions going home, and I thought, man, I guess there were no right here. Yeah, last night, and there were no mountain lions out there, so I guess we were good. But we used to just roam around all day long. I just remember like ant hills and garnet hills and playing in the dirt. I don't think there was any we had to be home by dark. That was it.
How old were you?
I mean, I was young. That was probably like 4 years old. I was probably wandering around when I was 3.
So yeah,
we'd go all day long.
So,
there was little lakes.
But
and
you've been
ponds.
wandering around your whole life, kind of. It feels like.
That's true. I'm still wandering.
You're still wandering, but it works.
That's true. Somehow.
Like you make your wander work.
Man, there might be a God after all, Eliot.
Yeah, there might be. Who fucking knows? So you grew up in New Mexico. You're a gringo, right?
Yeah.
You're a Jew gringo in New Mexico.
Yeah, good times.
Yeah, good times.
It's funny, New Mexico. It's a wild place, man. There's a lot of different cultures there. So I don't know if I just felt like I really didn't fit in, or nobody feels like they fit in. Like there's just so much different stuff going on. For sure, a lot of people feel like they don't fit in. There's like Chicanos, Mexicans, Native Americans, white kids like me. It is just it is a hot mess, which is super cool, makes for a very interesting mix, but it also creates a lot of hostility and just a lot of, it's got some of the worst school systems in the country. I was just speaking with a friend of mine who told me that the population is actually declining in New Mexico. Nobody wants to live there. Why do you think they're so tough down at Jackson's? Because it sucks, man.
That's why
Diego
I went down
Sanchez,
there.
You don't raise Diego Sanchez in Boulder, Colorado.
No, man. No. Like that ain't coming from here.
No.
But it's true. It's a fight capital, right?
Yeah.
Like New Mexico, a lot of really fucking tough guys have come from there, and a ton of tough guys go there.
You could get in a fight at 8 o'clock in the morning, and you wouldn't even have to start it.
Dude, the first time I ever went there, it's literally the middle of the day, and excuse me, I'm in the car with Rashad, Van Arsdale, me, Nate, and Cody. Right? We're in the car. We stop at a gas station.
For sure, that's a crew you want to start a fight with.
Right? We stop at a gas station, and these 2 Mexican dudes just walk up to the car. and like everyone has to get out of the car. I was like, oh shit, what the fuck? And nothing happened, you know? Like, but I was like, I've been here for 5 minutes.
It's offered to you every 15 minutes. Somebody offers a fight.
We used to roll when we used to drive down. We used to, God, who is it? I don't know. I can't remember the guy's name right now. But he has this song called The Ghetto. And right when we were like driving into Albuquerque, we would always like put that song on, because it's like it was like and we stayed in the most shitbag hotel you could stay in, you know.
You have to have that experience.
Yeah, and I even when I got a little more money, like when I was fighting in the UFC, I would still stay in that shitbag hotel because I like wanted it to be the same. I wanted it to be like awful.
I can say 100% all I heard about was how dangerous Rio was. And don't get me wrong, it was. When I showed up there, it was intense. But it wasn't that much worse than being in New Mexico. Like, I felt like I was already on point. Like, I was already aware of stuff. Like, it wasn't that difficult.
Right.
I mean, it was. Don't get me wrong, a lot of stuff almost happened, but nothing happened.
So I
would always be like, I'm going to go left instead of right, because I was used to doing that my whole life.
You naturally have this instinct of how to keep it pretty safe.
I think I just, like, if you hang out with me I'm like always trying to decide left or right. Like, I think I'm just a little bit like on alert all the time, just because that was how it was.
What do you mean left or right?
Well, like, you have to make decisions about what to do, you know? Like, when you pull up at the gas station, like, you look around and look if it's too gnarly to get, you know? Like, should I go to the other gas station or should I pump gas here?
Sure, here in Boulder, we don't worry about that, right? Yeah. There's 2 Conocos.
Pull up and you get gas.
Yeah, it doesn't matter which Conoco you go to. You don't have to look at, like, the situation going on at the Conoco.
Oh, yeah. I was at a gas station on the way home from Denver in kind of a sketchy neighborhood with a friend of ours. And she pulled up to the gas pump and got out. And there was a dude with a gun inside the gas station. And she was completely oblivious. And I was like, she drives like a nice BMW. We're way out of place. I'm like, Corinne, let's get out of here. And she's like, huh? I'm going to go get. I'm like, no, get the fuck in the car.
My wife
let's
does that
go.
shit, man. My wife does that shit.
Oblivious.
And I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, totally.
What the, like, are you aware of the situation you just put us in?
Yeah.
Like that was not safe.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, it's not good, because I think it made me a little bit always high alert. Like, I'm always pointing out, hey, that could be dangerous right there. Watch out for this. Watch it. And sometimes people are like, Jesus, dude, relax. My friend makes fun of me because he goes, man, you're the only fucking guy I know. You're a black belt. You have a pit bull. You have guns, and you lock the doors to your house. Like, if you walk out to your car for 5 minutes, it's true. That's the only way I know how to live.
No way.
Yeah.
If
not
you,
5 minutes.
Okay.
Not 5 minutes. But if I leave, I lock my house, man.
Yeah, me too.
100%.
Jay used to not.
I have friends. Yeah,
Jay used to not, but he wanted to fight.
Yeah, he wanted to fight. I was avoiding it my whole life. Somehow he embraced it.
Jay was like, "Yeah, let somebody steal my shit. I'm gonna fuck everyone up." Jay was my last big guest on the podcast. It was good times.
That's a special individual.
Yeah, he's like, there's no one like him.
That's true.
Yeah, there's no one like him. Like I don't even know what to say. Like the academy was very much different when Jay was around.
Yeah, yeah. I remember when he left, I thought, what am I going to do? How are we going to survive? Because he was teaching a ton of the classes. He was a huge influence.
Yeah.
Super helpful in designing curriculum, like a very bright guy. And one of my friends said to me, are you kidding me? Like, he scared away 80% of the students. You're going to be so much more successful. And I was like, huh, you think so?
Well, yeah, man. Like, I mean, like, looking back at it now, like, sure, like, when Jay used to teach the intro classes, he would, like, beg for, like, the way in which he would talk to people would like beg them to fight him.
Yeah, how are we going to do this? The nice way or my way?
Yeah, and we haven't fought in an intro class since Jay left.
That's a shame.
It's a shame. It was amazing. Because I can remember just sitting on the edge. Like, I would show up for the intro classes even when I didn't have to teach them, because Jay always, like, got you, like, for me it was amazing because, like, I knew I could handle myself because Jay would put me in dumbass situations like that.
Yeah,
like, but I liked it. I wanted to do it. So it was like, I'd sit on the wall and, like, wait to see if Jay could, like.
Yeah, you say you liked it now. The time he took you to the skinhead.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Nazi concert, and then said Eliot and just parked you on the back. Said, "Wait here, I'm gonna go fight this guy in the ring."
So we were at a skinhead. Let's tell the story. We went to a concert. Jay told me we're going to a concert where there's gonna be, like, amateur, like, tough man boxing back in the day of tough man. And this is like late '90s, early maybe 2000. maybe 2001. I don't know. I might have been a blue belt, and Jay might have been a blue belt.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, sounds right there, you know? And we roll in, and the concert is a bunch of straight edge people and a bunch of Nazis.
Which is weird that those guys hang out together, right?
All the time, and they look the same. I'm like, and like right when we walk in, I'm like, yo, dude, there's a bunch of Nazis here, man. He's like, yeah, but not everyone's a Nazi. And I'm
because straight edge are kind of on a good path. They're like, maybe they've recovered from drugs, they've denounced
no alcohol,
drugs,
no sex,
no alcohol, but they're not straight up racist. And then what
No.
the hell? They all listen to the same music. What is wrong with those people?
I don't know. And they all look the same. That's the problem. And Jay's like,
Well,
no, man, you gotta look
at the laces.
You gotta look at the laces. Right? And I was like, what? He's like, you gotta look at the laces.
Like, they
on
don't
their
look the
boots.
same at all. See, those guys have crossed laces.
And I'm like, what do you mean, dude? It's fucking dark. You like, we're in a dark concert hall. We're not like walking in the street, you know? And I'm like nervous, totally nervous. And then he's like, all right, man, I think I'm gonna go fight this dude. I like that somebody backed out. I'm gonna go in the ring and fight. And I was like, huh? I was like, you're gonna leave me here by myself? And he's like, yeah, you'll be good. He's like, just keep your back on the wall so nobody can get behind you, you know, and like pay attention. And I was like, holy fuck. So Jay walked in the room and he was fighting a Nazi, you know, like the guy had a big fucking swastika on his chest. And Jay like throws one punch, knocks the guy out, and it was like on the verge of getting ugly, but it stayed chill.
Yeah, good times for Jay.
Yeah, he's still doing that though. A little less. We went.
I think that's the only way he knows how to do
the
it.
The last time when I went and saw him the last time, he somebody drank alcohol around him, and I was like, damn, that's an improvement. You know?
Yeah.
Like that used to not happen.
No.
Yeah. I can remember once you were doing something and you came into the school to get Red Bulls for Red Bull and vodka, and you wouldn't tell them. You know, like you just grabbed a bunch of Red Bull because you knew how Jay would react, and wrong. He shouldn't. You know what I mean? Like it's your fucking school. You bought the Red Bull. You can do whatever the fuck you want with them. You know, and you're grabbing them, and Jay, and you're like, yeah, I'm just gonna, you know, and like everyone knew that you were going to have a party. You know, and Jay, it's just how Jay was. Like he was like his views were like intense.
Yeah.
You know. All right. So that's enough about Jay.
Yeah.
So how did you get to Brazil?
You know, I was young. I graduated from high school at 16 years old, so I was not.
How'd you graduate? Did you?
I didn't do. I started a year early because my birthday's on the cusp, and then I went from like a weird kind of hippie private school to a public school. And I remember literally sitting there with my parents and the principal, and they said, "What grade is he in?" And they're like, "Well, I don't know," because they have like group 1 is these 3 grades together, and group 2 is these 3 grades together. They go, so they don't really have grades. And then they looked at me, and he goes, "Well, should we put him?" It was junior high. They said, "Should we put him in 7th grade or 8th grade?"
So you went like that all the way through junior high.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
I went to a bunch. I went to probably, 4 different schools.
Okay.
Yeah. I'd be at a school for a year or 2, and then it would go out of business, or I don't know. You know, there's some small schools. So then they looked at me and they go, "What grade do you want to be in, 7th or 8th?" And by that time, I knew that what I wanted to do was ski, not math. I'm not saying that's the greatest idea. I hope my kids choose math, you know, and skiing.
I'm mauling.
But I thought, man, if I can go into 8th grade, that means I'm going to be out of school and skiing a year earlier. And so I said 8th. And then I went to 8th grade. And it didn't feel that different. It didn't feel, it just felt like different work, you know?
Right.
And
but you could handle the work.
Yeah, you know. But the big deal was that my parents said, look, if you pass all of your classes, you can ski on powder days. You can skip school. And so that was it. That was my motivation. Like if I get a D, they'd be like, fuck no, you're not skiing. If I passed all my classes, then boom, I got to go skiing. I remember waking up, going to eat pancakes.
But you still do this.
Oh, yeah, if I can. But look, I was a good worker. Like, I know when I got to do it, right? I know when I got to do it. But if I can set up my life like that, I mean, you don't want to miss a powder day if you're a skier.
This is but you do. That's what I'm saying. Like, that was my first sentence. You Amal, but it fucking works.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I got lucky.
It works.
It doesn't, I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, I hear you.
It's like a lot of things in my life. I don't recommend it, but it worked out.
It's weird for people. Like, I feel like...
I would be eating breakfast and my mom would say, why don't you go skiing today? And I wouldn't have even thought about it. I'd be like, oh, hell yeah, because it'd be fresh snow. When it was fresh snow, it's time to ski.
Fuck, how many days did you ski those years?
In school, I would ski 60, 70 days a year. Because it's Christmas. Like, we had to open Christmas presents at 6 in the morning because I wanted to be on the first chair. So Christmas vacation, every weekend, every half day, every day that my parents would let me skip, I was at the ski area. I sucked at team sports. I graduated when I was 16, so I was like a freaking midget.
Right.
So team sports, I got crushed. Girls, don't even think about it. so it was.
Sure, you were 16 with 18-year-olds.
Yeah, not happening.
Yeah, not happening.
Not happening.
Yeah.
I was cute.
Yeah.
like
the way the girls treat Simon.
It wasn't good. It wasn't good. So I would. Yeah, it was.
That's funny.
So I sucked at team sports, so I ended up doing individual sports. I found skiing, and I had a knack for it right away. Like, I always had good balance and coordination. And so I just started skiing all the time. I got really good at skiing, and then all I wanted to do was ski. But I realized early on that there wasn't really going to be, like, I wasn't going to be able to pay my bills with skiing.
Yeah, it's tough. Does anybody? I guess Lindsey Vonn does, right?
I had a dinner with her parents the other day.
Oh,
that
really?
was pretty wild.
God damn, how'd you do that in Aspen?
Yeah, in Vail.
Okay.
We just happened to be sitting with it, talked to them for a couple hours. It was interesting.
Oh, it was just random.
They were eating. It was a big table of us, 10 people.
Okay.
And then I started talking to this guy about skiing, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm Lindsey Vonn's dad. He was a World Cup skier." So
okay, so hold on. It was a community table.
No. It was a bunch of friends of mine that happened. Like, some of them live in Vail, and we all kind of met up. Yeah, it was interesting.
All right. Cool.
It was interesting.
She's chasing it again. She's going back in to try to qualify. Like, still pro skiing.
I think she's had like a bunch of knee surgeries.
No, I know she has. I was just talking to my parents about this.
Yeah, her dad said, I think that if she could come back from that knee surgery, she'll be top 5 still.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, she has crushed herself.
It was interesting. I asked him, at what point did you know she was a special talent? And he said, the boys and girls used to race together, and there was a race when she was 10 years old at a Crested Butte, and he goes, and she beat all the ages, all the boys, all the girls at 10
all
years
the
old.
Ages.
And he goes, it was then, I think it goes up to like U16 or something.
Okay.
But she beat up to the 16-year-olds, boys and girls, at 10 years old. And he goes, that was when I knew she was something special.
Fuck.
But he was a World Cup skier. So I think, those kids were already being trained forever.
Right.
No pressure.
None.
Kind of like being named Gracie or Sue.
Yeah, fuck. Sue.
That's right.
What's Sue?
A boy named Sue. You want to make your kid tough? Name him Sue, man. You should have named him Simon. Name him Sue, man. Give him some freaking struggle. You don't want to give him a tough name like Gracie. You name him Sue. That kid's going to learn to fight.
Yes, he is. But not here in Boulder, man. There's no fighting here in Boulder.
Thank God.
Dude,
why do you think we live here?
Dude, it's a fucking, like, Simon's going to get fucked up one of these days.
Uh-huh.
Like, someone's going to beat his ass.
You can take him down to New Mexico for lunch.
Yeah, well, I can't because he'll get fucked up too often. So we were in, we just got back from Hawaii, and we're across the street at the pools, and there's this one water slide. Oh, I had that shirt on yesterday. And there's this one water slide where it's really like rapidy, So Simon's tiny still, so the water like pushes him really hard. So he has to like get himself over to the edge, get to the ladder, and pull out. And it's difficult for him, So I see him do. It's not difficult, but it's work. It's not like he can't touch, So the rapid could take him into the lazy river, and then he's got to go around the lazy river, but he doesn't want to. So he gets to the edge, and I see there's this one big kid. He's like probably like Kanan size, which means he's probably like 10 or 11, and he's standing at the ladder, and like they're having this little tiff, and then Simon like works it out and gets out and goes to do the slide again, and he comes down, and it happens again, and the kid is still standing there. The kid hasn't left, and Simon's 5, so Kanan size is way bigger than him, and the kid like. They're having this tiff again, and Simon's like, can you move? And the kid like bows up on him, like totally like gets in his face. And Simon looks at him like with this look like, are you fucking crazy? And then just shoves him into the fucking lazy river, And I was like, oh shit, I was proud of him, because he wasn't taking any shit.
That's the age they need to figure that shit out.
Yeah, I know. So I let it happen. But then we talked like, hey man, maybe next time use your words first before you touch him, But like, I don't have that at all. Like my wife has that. Like I don't have that switch where I just get that mad like that. Like where I'm just like, you know what? Fuck you. Like And he does. And like, yeah, he's going to get fucked up one of these days.
I'm actually starting a business to help kids out in Boulder, privileged kids, not underprivileged kids.
What's it called?
Privileged kids. We don't have a name yet, but if you think of a good one, let me know. It's going to be like, so we're going to get like a 10-year-old to come and fuck your kid up after school, steal his bicycle.
Okay. It's
good
for
like
them.
maybe we'll have one of the students that nobody recognizes come and try to pick him up from school. So that he can be like, hey, I got some candy in the car, and be like, nuh-uh, because none of that stuff happens here.
Yeah.
You need to have some of those experiences.
I'm listening to The Coddling of the American Mind by Jonathan Haidt, and he's like, man, he's talking about this like anti-fragile concept.
Yeah, what the hell?
Right? He's like everyone thinks that kids are so, like, we've treated our kids like they're so fragile.
Yeah.
No, man, they need to get beat up.
Maybe we'll call it anti-fragility school.
Anti-fragility school.
Yeah.
Anti-fragile training.
Lose your fragility school.
Yeah, and first you lose your fragility, and then you lose your virginity.
Yeah, hopefully in that order.
Hopefully in that order, But like, it's true. Like, you need to understand that shit. That shit's important, man.
And you need to learn it before your freaking affluenza in 21.
Yeah. But that's the problem, is he's talking about how that's the problem.
Yeah, and it's hard. It's hard to watch your kid get in a sketchy situation. It's easy. It's much easier. It feels easier to micromanage them. But yeah, you got to let them get out there.
Dude, we were in the pool at the Grand Wailea with fucking other rich people.
Yeah.
So like, it's cool. Like other white kids, No kid that's really going to take his fucking lunch money, which you can't even do these days.
Yeah, but 10 years old,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like 10-year-olds are packing.
Oh yeah, but that you have to avoid.
Get beat up a little bit.
Yeah, but you have to enter into that. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. It was a safe way for me to watch. Like it was only.
No, it's perfect. That's what I'm saying. That's what you want. You want those experiences. So I mean, if you can't get them, you can hire me.
All right. How much do I have to invest in this one? What's the buy-in?
It's good. It's gonna be great because we know everybody that has a hard time is successful, right?
It's a great point.
All around the world.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah, people with no food, people suffering. Those are the most successful kids on the planet, right there.
Yeah.
So we need to try to get our little spoiled rich kids, those experiences.
Well, you need to get them. I agree, but like they need a good bed and water at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But not too much more.
I was thinking about that on the way over today. I was just thinking about. Suffering and different people, how they define suffering and just the different levels of it. Because, you talk about pretty openly about how you've had a hard time in life. I've gone through it, different things in my life, but I've never had a hard time putting food on the table. I've never
There's levels to this shit.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing with I am in love with Gary Vee right now. All I do is listen to Gary Vee. You know what Gary Vee is?
I don't.
Fuck. He's like doing what I'm trying to do, like this whole brand thing, at like a major level. He's the man, know? And he came from a very poor family. Immigrants that came over from Russia, yada, yada. And now, he almost failed. Like, it was really interesting. Like, the other day, this kid was asking him, like Gary Vee's whole thing is, do what you love. Fucking hustle. But find what you love, hustle, don't worry about money, but because if you love it enough and you hustle enough, it works out.
So that was me. That was my
you.
life.
Yeah, I know. That's what made me think of you, So, anyway, he's like, this kid calls in, or he's talking to this kid, and this kid's like, man, I love your stuff, blah, blah, blah. And Gary Vee's like, yeah, thanks, man. He's like, I think I'm going to drop out of high school. And Gary's like, whoa. Whoa. He pumps the brakes on him. He's like, yeah, tell me why you want to drop out of high school. What's your plan? And he's like, I don't remember what the kid said he was going to do. He's selling iPhone cases, getting iPhone cases cheap and selling them, and Gary Vee lets him keep talking. And he's like, look, so what grade, what do your grades look like? He's like, oh, I'm getting straight A's. He's like, really? He's like, yeah. He's like, look, you know how I feel about this. College, unnecessary, totally unnecessary. That's Gary Vee's opinion, right? Waste of time for most people. Other than partying, getting laid, and fun, But needing it for the world, not so much. And the kid goes, and Gary Vee's like, so look, this is what I would advise for you to do before you drop out of high school. Just stop doing it. Just get D's. They'll push you through. He's like, they'll push you through high school. They won't let you fail. He's like, you have a year and a half left. You're a junior. You've already done this for 10 and a half years. You're almost done. He's like, though, you can't do the world without high school.
Yeah,
you know?
I think it's important to know when to quit, and it's also important to know when to finish something you start.
Yeah, and then he's like, and then at the end, like the kid's like, okay, that's great. He's like, yeah, and by the way, your idea of selling iPhone cases, that's a shit idea, bro. He's like, don't do that. You got to do something special. And so anyway, it was an interesting thing like to listen to, because like his whole thing is like anti like. He's like, everyone has a chance because we have the internet.
Look, that whole college thing is an interesting topic for me, maybe because I have kids right in that age range. My parents didn't want me to go to college. Not like they didn't want me to, but they said, man, we're not going to, if you know what you want to study, cool, but we're not going to waste our money on you just to go through the motions.
It's interesting because that's not the message I got.
So they encouraged me to go out in the world. They're like, why don't you go travel for a couple years? Why don't you go like experience life? Like go ski. They weren't encouraging me to go work at McDonald's for 2 years, but they were like, man, get out there. I had no debt because they were super anti-debt. And they said, go travel. I got a good friend of mine. His kid's having a tough time right now. And I feel like he was kind of pushed into college. So he went from Boulder, where he was real comfortable, and then he moved on to a different state college, but it was a big school in kind of out west where it's kind of rainy and dreary, and he's kind of an introverted kid. So he went to college, smart kid, but he went to college, didn't know anybody, had a really tough time. He used to train jiu-jitsu with us. He tried to get involved in the jiu-jitsu community out there, but he just didn't feel it. So he ended up like super depressed. And he's been there 1 quarter, super depressed, not happy with his life, struggling right now, super struggling. And it just made me think about it because I thought, man, I was never encouraged. Like I moved out of my house when I was 16 years old. I graduated high school and I moved to Telluride, Colorado. And I think I experienced a lot of the same struggles. I was too young to really fit in with a lot of the kids there. I didn't have that many friends, but I was obsessed with skiing. So there was something I truly was passionate about.
And you couldn't hang out with the adults either.
I couldn't. The only thing to do in Telluride in 1988 was go to bars. And I couldn't get into the bars. Right. No way. They look at this little kid, you know. And then the other kids were in high school, so I wasn't really in that clique. But I was obsessed with skiing. So I think I spent a lot of time alone, but every day I got up early in the morning and I skied my butt off, you know.
You can curse.
And so that helped. Yeah, I try not to. Curse, what the hell?
Man, what got me on Gary Vee was 2 things. Hold on the cursing thing. Is he just puts out a shit ton of content. He puts out this video on why he curses so much. Mm-hmm. You know, and he has this lady challenge him. And he's like, it's just fucking who I am.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, it's not like I'm not trying to curse.
Yeah.
But if I try not to curse, it's just not authentic at all.
It's just that I still feel like there's a certain number of people that will be turned off just by that, and they will miss out on your message.
Fuck them.
And I get it.
Fuck them.
That's okay.
You know, if they can't handle a little fuck here and there, fuck them. You know.
I hear you.
And then the other thing he said, he's like, man.
So you're trying to save the world if they can listen to cursing.
They're going to have a huge issue if they can't.
Yeah. They're going to have a huge issue listening to your podcast. But regardless. Yeah.
Regardless, either way. And then he said another thing that like my wife says sometimes when she gets mad at me. She's like, you just like to hear yourself talk, you know? And I'm like, and then he said, he was like, yeah, I like to hear myself talk. Like he just owned it.
That's a lot better than not liking to hear yourself talk.
Yeah. He's like, I like to hear myself talk. That's why I do this. Yeah. So like as soon as I heard that, I like walked over to Renee and I was like, babe, you know why I do all this? And she's like, why? I was like, I just like to hear myself talk, and I'm going to own it. So you can't use that against me anymore.
You are correct.
You know? And she's like, are you serious? And I'm like, yeah, I'm dead serious. I like to hear myself talk.
Yeah.
So you just got to own it.
Back to the college thing.
Yeah, Colorado.
I don't know with my kids. I don't know if I want to, do you want them? I think I'm going to take the same approach my parents took.
Do you have a 529 though?
I do, because I want them to be able to go to college if they want. Mm-hmm. Like, I think it's a great opportunity because we have the ability to send them, but I'm not going to make them go, and like, I think if I do, like, they can go in state so they're comfortable. Like, I want them to get outside of their comfort range, but in a good way.
Yeah. I want them away from me, really.
I think that's a good experience, but you don't want to send them somewhere to, I don't know.
No, but they don't have to go to college away from me. Like Kanan wants the college thing because he's in love with sports right now.
Yeah.
Like he's still under the impression he's going to play in the NFL or the NBA.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like, he's going to be there for sure.
Yeah, for sure, without a doubt. He's definitely the 1%. And so like all he does is watch sports.
Yeah.
So he loves college.
Yeah.
Like he literally can watch anything. So it's amazing to him. He can't wait to go to college.
I feel like sometimes like those kids can have struggle like either when they don't make the college football team or maybe after college when they don't make pros. Like I think throughout your life, there's going to be certain points when different types of people are going to have different times.
What I'm wondering though is like, let's say he just gets bad at sports. Let's say he's just, like I can't see it right now because all he does is play sports.
What
so
if
it makes him
What
good.
if he stops growing when he's 11?
Yeah, like let's see. It's going to be interesting to see like if the life changes, this early impact of college, this idea of college, and I didn't put it there. Sports put it there. Yeah. What that will look like, like will he always want to like go to college?
But they might. Some kids thrive in college. Yeah. I'm not saying they shouldn't go to college. I'm just saying that it's not for everyone.
No, it's not. And I don't think it's necessary either. You can crush it without college.
I went to college and things work out great. And I have no idea if college had anything to do with it. And I went to college like, when I felt like it.
Yeah, the only reason that I can say that college worked out for me is because I fucking met you.
Yeah, I mean, I went to college a semester, a year sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I went all 4 years straight.
Yeah.
But I met you my freshman year.
Shit, what would have happened if you could have like an office job?
What would have happened?
Be crunching numbers in a freaking cubicle.
What would have happened if the cleaner didn't quit?
Oh, holy hell, man.
I
wonder who that guy is. We could hit him up.
You probably, fuck, whoever
sure
you are.
You've heard the story a million times probably, but Eliot showed up with no freaking money and minimal talent. And he said, I really want to train. And is there any way I could trade work for training? And the cleaner just quit. So I handed him the mop and said, you're hired, brother.
Yeah. And that's it, But so what you... Oh, I don't know where I was going with that. But yeah, so that's why college worked. I'm sorry. That's why college worked out for me.
Yeah.
Everything else, fuck it.
And that's where I say I'm not sure if college had a lot to do with my experience or not, because it changes who you are.
It brought me here. It brought me to Boulder. Like the idea of going to college allowed for doors to open for me.
Yeah, so who knows?
So yes, so would those doors have opened? We'll never know. It's impossible to say.
The road less taken.
Or would other doors have opened?
Yeah, that's true.
But you showed me how to Amal.
Good time.
It was amazing. It was great. Yesterday, Mike sent out a text, right? That was like, hey guys, I need your addresses, social security numbers, and birthdays. And then I sent mine, and then all he responded with, okay, what's Amal's address again real fast? And then I sent yours, because I know your address well. And you didn't respond for like 20 minutes, and then you just sent like a fire and a fist, like, fuck yeah, hell yeah. And I just responded with, man, that's what fucking baller is, when your top people know your shit and you don't even need to respond.
Because they're done waiting for it.
Yeah, they're done. They're done because you're out Amaling, So you Amaled to Brazil.
Yeah. So I was into all those individual sports, and
kayaking was one of them, because we got to get to the kayak story. Renzo told this story, bro. Oh my god.
I was out of my mind. Kayaking and skiing, and then I was obsessed with Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. The first time I tasted it, it was amazing. And so I decided to sell all of my stuff. I mean, I sold my hang glider, I sold my kayaks, my mountain bikes, all my stuff. And I moved to Brazil to learn, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu.
Have you traveled a lot at this point?
A fair amount.
So you were comfortable traveling?
Yeah, I was pretty comfortable. Like, I'd been all over Mexico. My grandparents used to travel a lot.
Okay.
They took me to Africa when I was like 12. It was a pretty posh trip, but animal safaris.
Sure.
But I'd traveled a fair amount. I'd been, we would drive down to Mexico with my dad and spend 3 weeks during Christmas, camp out on the beach. I was very comfortable in different languages. And plus, I went down to, I had friends in the barrio in Santa Fe. So, yeah.
So you, like, this wasn't for me to, like, pick up at 18, or how old were you when you went to Brazil?
Brazil was later because I graduated from college. I went to acupuncture school.
Okay, that's right.
I went to acupuncture school. I was 25 years old, and I was either going to go to China and like work in a hospital, but I wasn't that stoked. Like, all my professors in acupuncture school, man, talk about bland. It was terrible. So I couldn't really fathom moving to China because it wasn't a very interesting culture to me. right? Lots of people loved it, not me. Or Thailand, because I was obsessed with Thai boxing from the time I was little, until then. And then, but I'd been training jiu-jitsu for a couple of years. And so the other idea was Brazil. And, I was aware of the Gracie family. 93 was the first UFC. So, I'd watched that and I was just obsessed with that. It got to the point where I couldn't ask people about it anymore because all anybody would say about Rio was how dangerous it was. And I was going. I had my mind made up. And so I sold all my belongings. I didn't have debt, saved up as much money as I could working in a restaurant, which is another thing I credit to, my success to is that, it was the service industry. So I kind of learned how to relate with people and deal with people, even though that always came, reasonably natural for me. And I sold everything and I bought a one-way ticket to Brazil.
Is this did you take your kayak this time? The one kayak?
You know what? Let me tell you, the first kayak I got down there, I had Alberto Crane bring the kayak down for me. And so I told Alberto, like, hey, man, he was coming down. I convinced him to go to Brazil after I'd been there for a year. And so his mom was so scared. And I said, no, and he hadn't traveled so much, which was interesting because his mom ran a multilingual school, like German, French, and English, I think, or something like that. And so I convinced him to go down there. And I said, and I need you to bring this kayak for me. And then it got all hung up in customs because he said he was bringing it for a friend.
Somewhere in New York or something, right?
The first place I took him was to a restaurant where people were like bait. The first thing we looked up on the menu, like in the dictionary, said lizard.
Yeah, I have this story too, Alberto.
Look, Alberto's...
I have this story too.
Alberto's a very... now he gets out there, but back in the day, he was a pretty, he seemed kind of sheltered, man. and he got the crash course in Amaling.
I want to clear something up real fast before we get back to the kayak, but I was talking to Casey. Casey, when we were in Hawaii,
Baby's mama.
They ended up on literally like down the street from me in Hawaii when we both spring braked there. And I want to clear up the Chili's thing. Okay? I don't like Chili's. I've never liked Chili's. You took me to a mixed fish soup Mexican restaurant place with dogs running in it after I cut 7 pounds. Right? I just wanted something like normal to eat, not like I couldn't read the menu. So I get this lizard thing with Amal, right? And like, so after I watched you eat, I was fucking starving. There was a Chili's next door. So you were like, all right, man, you didn't eat. Where do you want to go? And I was like, let's just go to fucking Chili's because at least I know what I'll get. And from that day forward, you thought I loved Chili's. I fucking hate Chili's.
I'm still not sure I'm buying it.
Man.
I think the places you like to eat were like Denny's, Chili's. Like now you're a big foodie. You're all into cooking. Like I appreciate your taste in food now, but I don't know, man.
The only reason that my friends and I went to Chili's was because my ex-girlfriend would serve us drinks. Right? Because she worked there. I don't like Chili's.
Look, if anybody wants to make Eliot happy, buy him a gift card to Chili's. Don't listen to this shit.
For years, I've been hearing all you want to do is go to Chili's. And no, I don't ever want to go to Chili's unless I'm starving and I can't read the menu.
What you need is an out-of-business Taco Bell that's been taken over by Mexicans, and they serve maybe a good fish stew. That's what you need.
Yeah, we go to this restaurant. I just cut 7 pounds, and Amal's like, this place, and I'm like, this is part of Amal.
That was the first Gracie tournament, right?
That was the first Gracie tournament. What a great tournament.
How did you do with that tournament?
I won.
Yeah, thank you.
I went to Brazil for the first
time.
You
see Mexican fish stew, baby.
Hold on, this is what I'm saying. No, this is Amaling, and he makes it work out for everyone somehow. Like not just himself, everyone. So we go.
And it made you just the right amount of uncomfortable.
Yeah. I had to sit there and watch him eat this food.
You had one taste of this.
I had one taste of mine, and then I asked what it was, and you said it's mixed fish soup.
You said, this is pretty good. What is it?
No.
You said, no. You go, I go, what are you having? And it was all in Spanish, and nobody spoke English.
And there's dogs
he's like,
in the restaurant.
I don't know what
there's
it is.
Dogs running in the restaurant.
Well, I'll just have what you're having. And I was like, sweet, I'll have 2 mixed fish soups.
No, you order in Spanish. Yeah, you didn't say it in English.
And then they put it down on the table, and you took a sip of it, and you go, this isn't bad. What is it?
I don't remember that
was
part.
The last bite. I go, mixed fish stew.
Because I haven't eaten in 30 hours, right? I've had nothing in 30 hours.
Man, you get the power of the fish in you.
Fuck yeah, man. Go win and then I fucked everyone up that tournament.
That's right.
And then I went to Brazil.
Oh, man, I took second.
What's that?
I didn't. No,
you were a black belt.
I took third.
No, you won.
No, because Nino took first, and then I lost to
yeah, but the
Cameron
black
Earl.
belts weren't going.
No,
The black
yeah.
belts didn't get a trip.
Yeah.
The black belts was money.
And that was where I got that picture right there.
Yeah, right there. With
Elliot
Eliot.
Gracie putting the 3rd place medal around my
Yeah,
neck.
and Salo won that tournament. Remember him and Gabriel Vela? They went for an hour and 20 minutes.
That was a different
boring
way.
as
Yeah.
fuck.
A lot of the matches were pretty boring.
The
that
black
was
belt
why
matches were.
that yeah.
You know? Because they just played so conservative.
Well, and they're good, man.
And they're good, yeah. For sure. They're both everyone's very good.
Yeah, I remember people started
It wasn't the most exciting, but I
was
fucking
fun.
loved it.
That was a fun tournament.
I fucking loved it. I went every year.
Walk out there and not worry about getting
Not
taken
worrying
down.
about anything.
Hell yeah.
It's my style. Right? It's my
100%.
style because sure, you might pass my guard. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, I've always been like that.
Yeah.
Like I'm not because I'm not the athlete. You know, I'm not going out there and I'm not athletic enough to just fucking murk people.
Yeah.
You know, even in fighting, right? Like, you know, Brendan would just go out there and fucking throw a right hand, and same thing with Shane sometimes, right? Like,
Yeah, it's a combination of athletic enough and just willing to step in front of the bus.
yeah, and I'm neither.
Yeah.
You know, I'm neither. And I wonder if I was more athletic if I would do that, because I've never like thrown one punch and knocked anybody out.
I mean, you know, like Jay tells that story, not to talk about Jay too much.
Yeah.
But when he was a kid and they would play the game, a horrible game. I hope nobody ever plays it. Where do you know the one I'm talking about?
No, I don't
You're
know yet.
coming up to a red light, and if somebody says, I don't know, they say some word, you have to close your eyes and just run the red light.
Oh, fuck that.
Horrible. But that's what I'm talking about, being willing to step in front of the bus. That's freaking horrible because you can endanger someone's life.
Yeah.
But when you're fighting, there's something about like Diego Sanchez or freaking Gaethje.
Yeah, but
where they're willing to just step right in there, and yeah, they win those exchanges consistently. But they're also like, man, a lot of people. It's like I just saw a post. There was a guy, Marcelo Tigre, old school Brazilian guy when I got down there that used to fight, and there was an ad for him, and the quote from him was, "I'm not afraid to get punched in the face."
Yeah, but look,
like he would get punched in the face, like Mayhem Miller, and just smile.
Sure.
And there's nothing that there's nothing that makes me want to smile when I get punched in the face.
No, I don't walk forward. I'm not like, okay, again. Like even in Gaethje's fight the other night, leg kick, fine, fuck you, leg kick. Fuck you, leg kick.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like,
special talent for fighting.
No, there's something in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when he said it really well, he's like, I just fucking love this too much.
Yeah.
You know? Like I never loved it.
Yeah.
Like I loved it, but I was always like, okay, fuck, come on, Elliot, don't fucking be a pussy.
No, you love the part where you're kicking them in the leg, but not where they're kicking you.
Oh, yeah. Fuck that. That was awful. Right? That was fucking awful. Like that, you know? No, it wasn't awful. It was I couldn't get past the fear. You know? I couldn't let myself go enough to get past the fear to step in front of the bus. I was too afraid.
Yeah.
You know, I never let go of that fear.
But that's self-preservation. There's something, you know what I mean? There's probably a reason that your lineage is here. I don't know how someone else's is, but like, you know, being conservative like that maybe helps you live, and maybe in some situations it helps you, you know, being just everything, you know, sheets to the wind lets you live too. I don't know. It's hard to say.
I don't know. It's interesting. Like Cowboy posted a picture the other day of him dead. You know, like somebody took a picture of him dead and his mom standing over his body in the hospital before they like right when he died, and they had to come. They were like rushing in to bring him back.
What do you mean? What happened?
He died. He like got into a motorcycle wreck.
Oh, really?
His guts came out.
What? When? Like way back or recent?
Like 10 years ago.
Oh,
like we knew him. Yeah, we knew
I wonder
him.
how many times he's died.
Twice.
I mean, that we know of.
Yeah, you know, yeah, you know.
Cowboy lets it loose.
So like how many? I think most people die. You know,
Once.
Well, yeah, once, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like I don't think you get to be brought back that often.
Yeah, we're not cats.
You know, you know. So like Cowboy sheets to the wind,
Yeah.
right, and it works for him.
Yeah, he does it as well as anybody.
He does it better than right. Yeah, and does he make it to 50?
I mean, I don't think he's worrying about that.
He's got a kid.
Yeah, maybe he'll change.
No, he doesn't. He went fucking die. He almost died scuba diving last year.
Yeah.
Got stuck.
I mean, I have a little bit of that with extreme sports. I did it last weekend in Telluride.
Yeah, you have a little bit of it. You don't. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
A little bit, not like that, but
But you're not going to go down that chute again.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah. Yeah,
Probably not. There's less of me that wants to go in there again than there was 30 years ago.
Yeah, well then how about a week ago?
Yeah, a week ago, I still thought this would be a good idea. When I got in there, I was like, what am I doing? But part of me wants to go back.
Yeah. But I still think I can be the champ.
Yeah.
But then every morning I wake up and when I I do my thing where I meditate and then I say DBAB and I'm like, man, I could fight. And then I'm like, fuck it.
So that's normal. It's just what percentage of you says I'm going back, and what percentage of you is like, yeah, that's a stupid idea.
It's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think more people that throw sheets to the wind go back.
Yeah. I mean, there's something about getting older that makes you conservative.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, thank God that people are young and wild, because otherwise, the world would just be stagnant.
And then
Those
there's
are the people
Renzo.
that change it.
Then there's Renzo who goes back at 51.
51. Fuck
right?
it.
51.
Yeah.
I think every retired fighter was like, oh, fuck yeah.
Renzo's going to be for the scene until he's freaking 100.
Yeah, until it's over, until it's over. But that's, that is what is amazing about Renzo.
Yeah. Just the way he looks at life is unique.
When did you meet him when you first went down there?
Man, I mean, I tell that story all the time, so I don't want to bore people if they've heard it before. But I showed up in Brazil. I'd been there a week. There was a bunch of professional fighters down there trying to, as it felt like people felt like they were trying to steal jiu-jitsu from them. So people were very closed off to foreigners. I was sitting on the mat by myself. I just watched Renzo fight on TV in the World Combat Championship, and he walked in. Everybody ran up to him. Renzo. He was telling a story, and then he looked and saw me sitting on the far side of the mat, and he goes, who's that over there? And they said, it's just some gringo. And then he left everybody, walked up to me, and he goes, who are you? And I said, I'm Amal Easton. And he goes, what are you doing here? And I said, I moved here to learn jiu-jitsu. And he goes, man, you came all the way across the planet to train with us? And I said, yeah. And he goes, man, it is an honor to have you here. And then he took care of me, took me out to lunch that day, got me some free swag, made me feel special. And that's what's special about Renzo.
This is what's special about Renzo.
Yeah.
Right? This is what he does just so fucking well that it's incredible.
Yeah.
Just some fucking gringo sitting on the cross of the mat. And everyone's treating you like a gringo. And it's not abnormal.
Most people turn into celebrities and they go the opposite direction. They forget they even know you.
Excuse me. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They and he does the opposite.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I know more people. Fuck yeah. And
I tell you, in my opinion, being around him and seeing that attitude makes me want to be more like that. The last time I told this story on a podcast, somebody came up to me. It was like this 70-year-old that trains with us. And he walked up and he goes, man, I listened to your podcast the other day and I heard your story about Renzo the first time you met him. He goes, and let me tell you, that's how I feel when I walk into one of your academies. And nothing could have been a bigger compliment to me.
Yeah. It's amazing when you get those stories, right?
Because nothing, and I do it sometimes. You get a lot of people talking to you or whatever, and you maybe, they say wars are started over not shaking someone's hand or acknowledging somebody. That makes me feel horrible. Sometimes you just you inadvertently diss or ignore somebody, and if I see myself doing that or somebody feels like I did that to them, it does not make me happy.
No. And it happens.
It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
But dude, the influence we have on people is amazing. Fuck, man. Somebody hit me up the other day, yesterday actually. He was one of our students. I'm gonna tell the story. I don't know if I should, but I'm telling it.
Man.
And he was gonna commit suicide. He woke up that day, and that was the day he was gonna do it. And so one of our instructors called on a 246 call. Didn't do it. Got him to come in the school that day. I don't even know if the instructor knows that he was on the verge of committing suicide.
Yeah, guaranteed he had no idea.
Yeah. I don't even think the instructor knows to this day.
Right.
The guy just told me that in the message,
Yeah.
And now he's still here.
Yeah.
He's still here. And it was cool because I went down to Castle Rock yesterday, to teach. I had not met most of the people down there. And I was like, man, if anybody wants to know the special sauce of Easton, the special sauce of Easton is us, is that you never, ever have to be alone again. Because somebody is almost always at our academies. Yeah. There's somebody from our academies that is always around, whether it be here or whether it be awake on the internet, doing something. We just have a huge network, and that's what Renzo does, right? He's created that for a lot of people. That this huge network. And I'm like, that's what is amazing, is that you never, ever have to be alone. You always have somebody.
So I can't say I've ever really struggled with depression or, definitely not. I mean, I've been depressed, but, on a 1 to 10, maybe a 2.
Sure.
Felt bad to me, but I've never considered calling it quits. But I think I've always had, you and Mike Tusignant were talking the other day about finding your why. And I've always had some kind of why. Something I like to do. So if I was depressed or whatever, I'm like, yeah, but I still want to ski that chute. I still want to, like, whatever it was. There's always been something. I can't fathom what it's like when you sit and look at your life and you can't think of what that why is. So hopefully people find a bit of that why at the Academy, whether it's relationships or whether they feel like they can, people care, someone cares about them, or they want to,
it's a
learn
place
something.
that puts it on pause.
Yeah, hopefully.
Like for me, I know.
Don't get me wrong. I've had there was a day when I trained with Braulio Estima, and he was a purple belt, and I was a black belt, and and I finished training, and that was probably as close as I've ever came to wanting to kill myself. Just depressed, like, man, what have I been doing my whole life? This kid just beat me up so badly. I don't know if I know anything anymore.
Dude, I was watching Nick train with Ian yesterday, and I was just like, oh my God, like Ian might have another 6 months, maybe.
Oh, it was getting close.
Oh, and what Nick was trying, I was just like, holy fuck. And he would put himself in the shit trying it. And it wasn't like a normal blue belt training with a black belt, where the blue belt's just trying to survive. Nick was fucking charging. Right? Charging, and he would, with not stuff that he's amazing at, and then being the shit, being Ian's omoplata and triangle, and come on, man, it's Ian, right? But not caring and getting out.
But here's the deal: Nick's not going to make Ian want to cry. Nick's going to make some random black belt that's never trained with him.
For sure.
That's going to go train with Nick when he gets his purple belt, and he's going to get Braulio steamed.
Oh, it's happening already. This black belt came in 2 weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
And this black belt that's competing in the Worlds, that qualified for the Worlds this year, and Nick just trashed him.
Yeah. Homolo used to do that at blue belt.
Yeah. Motherfucker. Fucking Homolo. that time in Santa Barbara when we were pushing each other. You remember that, right?
In the line?
In the line, waiting to weigh in. And he cut in front of us.
Yeah.
And we'd been there for 5 hours, and I was like, no. And we're bumping and shoving each other back and forth. And then we had to compete against each other.
That was a serious line, though. To be fair, we sat in that line which, I mean, I don't know who that gives the right to, but we sat in the line for 7 hours waiting to weigh in the day before the tournament.
Yeah.
Dehydrated, and then somebody walked up to me and they go, "Oh man, what are you doing here? Black belts don't have to wait in line." And
then I got back on the scale, right? The same, a very similar thing happened to me. Gordo was what's that?
Go ahead.
Gordo was just at he's whatever. Gordo was just, this was before the IBJJF was any good. But Gordo was one of the people weighing people in. And he's like, "Oh, Eliot, what's up, man?" He's like, "You're good." And I was like, "No, man, fuck that. I'm stepping on the scale. I waited 7 hours." I was like, "Tell me how much I weigh." So yeah, it was, it was what it was. But
then Homolo walked up, and he wasn't going to wait in that big old line.
No,
whatever.
Man.
He was a blue belt that made black belts
we were
cry.
Purple.
Okay,
we were
a purple belt that made black belts cry, and then he nudged his way into the front of the line, right in front of us. And
I was so mad.
And Eliot was super upset.
I was like, "No, man, I'm going to fuck that guy up," And then
you guys fought in the finals of Absolute.
No, we fought in the USA versus Brazil thing.
Okay.
Yeah, he beat me, motherfucker, 7-2.
He didn't forget that day in line.
No, we talked about it when he did my podcast.
That's hilarious.
I was like, you cut in front of me, motherfucker. And he was like, "Oh, man, I was a kid."
Good times.
Good times. Fuck yeah. So, yeah, how you deal with people, is, and that's that. I think that is probably one of the biggest things that's Renzo's rubbed off on almost all of us, everyone that he comes in contact with is just being super happy for people, and making their day better.
Yeah, it's like that rising tide. I'm not a fan of the quote. It just seems overused to me, but it's you don't do better by making other people do worse. You make, the people around you do good and do better. It lifts everybody up.
Pepsi needs Coke to do well.
Yeah.
Right? If Coke falls off, probably Pepsi will too. Their product will go down because you need the challenge. You need the fight. The fight's very important.
Yeah, it just helps just to be positive. I always say there was a group of skiers in Taos when I used to ski, and the guys my age were all just talking trash about each other and how they sucked. And the younger generation was just talking about how you stomped that line, you crushed it, and that it just felt good to me.
It's one of those things people get all mad about, like the next generation. You know, you see it a lot with like millennials, like how people trash.
I love what you said the other day, that it was just the first generation that was asking the right question.
Yeah.
That they were saying like, well, why should I do that?
Yeah.
And it makes sense. The problem is there's a lot of shitty jobs out there that need to get done.
That need to get done.
Yeah.
Right. And we all do them. That's the So the problem with that is like, look, there's times in your life when you have to learn how to go fucking work at the restaurant and like be the busboy, because that might be the only job. You know, and rather than live with your mom, you could do that and like have all these other, you know, like it's better to do that. Like that's a necessary thing. Like working at the pizza place made me know that like I got to do better than this.
And that's a good point. I mean, people might look at me and think that I always had it easy. Man, I did construction. I dug ditches for whole summers. I slaved in restaurants and put up with complete pricks freaking treating me like I was a slave. I put up with a lot of shit. I had to call my mom while kids were trying to steal my bicycle. Like that anti-fragility. Man, I remember 101 degrees in New Mexico digging ditches for irrigation by hand all day long. So yeah, that stuff makes you stronger.
Look, we all had it easy.
You have to be able to grind.
Right? But you know what I mean? You need this. You need to make yourself, and we need to make our kids anti-fragile. The good line in the book is, are you preparing your kids for the road, or are you preparing the road for your kids? You know, in the coddling of the American mind.
Yeah.
And I thought that's amazing, right? Because like the kids need to handle the road, not the other way around.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what makes you great, right? Is that you've learned how to handle a lot of roads with your travel. You know, and like just like, you know, being sick as fuck in Brazil.
You know
right?
why people have a hard time with it now, though? It's just because media is so messed up that we sit and we watch about how, you know, and I don't want to, you know, like 30 kids committed suicide in Colorado last year. But like, I don't know how many people committed suicide in Colorado in 1970. I have no idea. Or how many kids got kidnapped.
No, it's
how
up.
many kids.
The suicide thing
so
is
that
up.
one, sure.
Yeah.
But how many people, like they say, and I believe that this is the safest it's ever been. It's ever been.
Yes.
But the thing is, we hear about all these horrible things. We're bombarded by it. Like people have to come up with new news every 5 minutes.
And it's breaking. It's all breaking news.
But
breaking
50
news.
50 people come out with the you know, their own article over the same story.
Right, but
so you hear about it so much, you start thinking that it's. I think it blows a lot of stuff way out of proportion.
Way out of proportion. And like, man, you like the 24-hour news cycle. Like when we were kids, when we were growing up, 6 o'clock was like local news. 6:30 was national news. We got 5 minutes. You know, 6:30 was national news. And then 11 o'clock, the late night news came on.
Yeah, now it's 24/7. You can hear about the same 3 things from 50 different experts.
The same, yeah, and it's not healthy. It just reconfirms you're already laid in confirmation bias. You know, like your cognitive dissonance. You already feel this way, and it's like I'm right. Look how bad.
I mean, I'm guilty of it too. So I told you I locked the doors at my house. You know how many times my house has been broken into since I moved to Boulder?
0.
Oh no, back in the day it got broken into a lot.
Boulder?
No, in Santa Fe.
Yeah, you said since you moved to Boulder.
Since I moved to Boulder, none.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I lock the doors at my house too. That's just. There's things to do to not ask.
Sure, I agree. I still lock my doors, but I'm saying like you worry about stuff that's ridiculous.
Like I had to get over worrying about my kids and walking to school.
So this is crazy. It went all over that next door Boulder or whatever.
Okay.
The other day that there was a blue van that pulled up to a kid and tried to get the kid to get in the van, and the kid ran away. And you think, oh, crazy. That was my best friend's kid. There's like, yeah, that was my kid. And then everybody was kind of freaking out about it because the guy said, hey, like I'm an Uber driver. Get in the car. I'll give you a ride home. And the kid took 2 steps back and then ran home. He acted perfectly. Yeah. And everybody was kind of all freaked out about it. And I understand it. Like, I get it. But at the same time, like, for me, I had to look at it the perspective of, you know what? Like, I got to talk about that experience with my kids. Back in the day in New Mexico, I think stuff like that happened to me on a weekly basis, probably a daily basis, crazy seeming stuff. We don't know exactly what was going to happen, but it was close enough to something that sounds sketchy that it scares you a little bit. But everybody heard about it. And so everybody's freaked out about it. But I think it's an opportunity. Like, you look at it, I got to talk to my kids about because it's never happened to my kids.
The child abduction thing is definitely down from where it was. It's not up, and we act like it's up.
Yeah. Just because you hear about it. We all heard about it.
We all, and now, look, Amber Alerts and all that stuff is great. We need it,
but it freaks
it's amazing,
you out.
but it freaks you out. Yeah.
I get an alert on my phone that says somebody 100 miles away that a kid didn't show up from school, and it ends up being nothing.
Dude, we got a text message the other day the school sent out, right? It says the school is being evacuated.
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
Yeah.
And then I was like, whoa. And I knew Renee was like getting ready to drop Simon off at that time. So I called her and she was like, everything's fine, yada, yada. Like, that was 15 minutes ago. Some kid threw a ball into the fire alarm, and the fire alarm went off because of it in gym class, and they had to. Dude, don't send out that text message.
It's a tough one with schools, because there is some horrible, people break in and shoot.
But why do I need to know that the school did a fire drill?
I agree. What I'm saying is that there's a lot of kids in school, and it does not happen.
Yeah,
it's not like, I know people that are afraid, that like freak out sending their kids to school every day, and my heart goes out to somebody who that actually happens to. I can't fathom
what
a
that
worse
would be
thing.
like. Yeah,
and I think the odds are so infinitely low.
Yeah. All this stuff is
at
low.
least that's what I tell myself every
Boeing
morning.
Thing, my buddy down the street, a neighbor of mine, flies for Southwest.
Yeah.
Right? And all they do is fly the 737 MAX 8s.
Yeah.
Right? He's like, look, man, it's a button.
Yeah.
He's like, when you hit the button, he's like, look, Boeing fucked up. Boeing owns a lot of responsibility for what they do.
Yeah.
But he's like, no offense, like, all American pilots were trained the very best that you could be. And we know that when this thing starts to happen, like, you get that little shake, you hit the button, it's right there. It's like down to my left. I hit that and it's fine. He's like, there's like, yeah, they needed to like do a software update. I'm not saying that he wasn't saying that Boeing, but it's not this huge fucking night. He's like, my phone blew up when they grounded all the MAX 8s.
I was looking for solace when there was the whole Malaysia thing and the airplane went down. And one of our students works for a major airline and flies internationally consistently. And I said, hey, that's garbage, right? There's all these conspiracy theories around that Malaysia flight, like that maybe there's some kind of crazy thing that happened. Like, that's crazy, right? It went down in the ocean. And dead serious, he came out with the just total conspiracy theory. I was like, you're not helping. He was like, no. The pilot, he can flip a switch, and then he can depressurize the cabin, put everybody to sleep. He goes, I'll bet they're going to find that plane somewhere on some landing strip in South America.
Well, that's true.
No,
I talked to Rod about it.
No, might be
Rod
true.
said he can knock everybody out.
Yeah, that whole thing just sounds a little crazy, man. I was looking for the voice of reason, and instead I got the total conspiracy theory.
Oh, Rod says every flight he flies, he could put everyone to sleep.
Yeah, I know. That's comforting. Let's not talk to him anymore about flying.
All right, we're done.
That's what Diner says. 2 people he doesn't want to know, right?
Who?
Your airline pilot and your surgeon. Because you don't want to know that those guys could ever make mistakes. Those guys, as far as you want to know, those guys are God. They don't make mistakes.
Well, the airline pilot, they've remedied that a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, but whatever. I don't want to know. You don't want to go out with your airline pilot and have him do an extra shot with you on the way out the door.
This is true, but the captain doesn't fly the plane anymore. The co-pilot does.
Well, then you don't want to know your co-pilot.
But the captain's there.
Nobody. You don't want to know anybody in that cockpit.
This is true.
All right.
All right.
Good talk.
All right. Later, guys.
Peace.